Everyone and their grandmother is asking me if the US stock market is in an AI bubble. And the simple answer to this is yes, it is. And no, it isn't. That is not that simple. I'm going to explain why that is actually the correct answer though. And I will actually go into a short explanation first, and then I will go into a longer, more detailed explanation with financials to support that. So for those of you who just want the short version of why I just said that, it'll take a couple minutes. And those of you who like the financials, that will come later. First, I want to introduce you to Ruben Tech, where we discuss the intersection of tech, politics, and finance. Please hit the like and subscribe button down below. Now let's go ahead and get started. Obviously, in the market, we know for the US market, there is a group of companies called the Magnificent Seven. This group varies. Sometimes it's not 7 companies, sometimes it's more. Who's in it will vary. But essentially, this group has an outsized influence on the market as a whole. Okay. And within this group, there are a few companies that would be core members of this group who definitively are not in an AI bubble. And so I want to give those companies first. Apple, Alphabet, Microsoft, Amazon, and Meta. These 5 companies, right? They produce trillions of dollars. I don't have the exact numbers up, but I'm pretty sure it's close to 2 trillion. Might be just below, might be just above, but close to $2 trillion of revenue per annual year. Their net operating income, that's after paying taxes, after paying everything, is around $500 billion a year. Okay. They have multiple products that have billions of users on it. They all have diversified income streams. These are companies that are not dependent on generative AI being a boom or a bust. Would it mean that they are not, wouldn't be benefit from if it was a boom? Of course. Would it mean that they wouldn't be hurt if it was a bust? Of course they would be hurt, but it doesn't, they're not dependent on it. Okay. Apple, for instance, has sells hardware. Okay. In fact, right now, Apple has announced, they haven't announced publicly, but has been said that they are going to have Google power their AI services. Okay. So Apple's given up on its own tries at these LLMs and is turning to Google and their Gemini models. But Apple doesn't have to worry about this because Apple sells, right? iPhones, they sell Macs, they sell watches, they sell pads. None of these devices are going anywhere. Are they as sexy as they once were? Absolutely not. Is Apple the growing powerhouse that it was? Absolutely not. But these are devices that consumers are going to continue to purchase. And Apple has showed that it can command a premium in the market. It has been able to consistently do that for quite some time now, and I don't see that going away. In addition to that, Apple's is growing its services, right? Apple has the app market. It's actually getting into ads, is doing that. So it's diversifying even away from hardware and starting to pull in value from other places. Now, when we go into the financials, I'll show you that Apple, I think that it's overvalued, okay? But being overvalued and being in a bubble are 2 different things, right? If the AI bubble bursts, people are going to look for companies that produce real products and contribute real value, and Apple will definitely be one that they'll look at as a safe haven, okay? Another one, of course, will be Alphabet. Alphabet is one of my 2 companies that I think could be potentially Skynet. Alphabet is definitely at the top of that list. People don't understand how powerful this company is. They are involved in literally a duopoly or a monopoly or a triopoly in all the most important fields. Okay. And when I say that, that's not a joke at all. Alphabet has a net income of over $100 billion, surpassing even Apple last year. So they are making more money than any other company on earth. They have revenues that will top over $400 billion this year alone. Search, which was supposed to be dying, is still growing at a 12 to 13% rate quarter by quarter. Okay. They have a duopoly right now with OpenAI in the generative LLM space, with Gemini reporting 550 million plus daily active users in the app. They're serving over 2 billion monthly queries. Maybe that's daily. I forget. They serve a lot of queries. It's hard, but 2 billion users, I think, is using their Gemini in the search right now. Okay. They have simply put, the best TPU for inferencing on the entire planet. It's not Nvidia. Alphabet has it with its Ironwood TPU. And they are securing billions of dollars in contracts from their competitors because they see what Alphabet's doing, which is serving these models at the cheapest rate possible. Okay. They are monopoly in the browser space. They are a duopoly in the advertising space. They are a monopoly in search. They are in a duopoly or triopoly, considering where you consider Harmony OS to be, in the mobile operating system space. They are in a triopoly in America in the computing operating system space with Chrome. Okay? They are the undisputed, definitive leader in quantum computing. There's no doubt. If you know anything about quantum computing and you look at the accomplishment that Alphabet has actually published to the scientific community with verified results, nobody else has been able to match it, not even close. Okay? And not only that, but they are at the forefront of AI. They literally wrote the paper that's powering all of these models today. Okay? That's Alphabet. And if generative LMs ended up being a bust, a complete bust, it wouldn't matter because Alphabet has been using AI to improve its margins in other ways for a very long time. Okay? They don't need LLMs to be this huge thing. Of course, they would like for it to be, but their business model isn't dependent on it. Everything I just said applies to Microsoft. Microsoft, same way. Microsoft, like Google, has they're in a triopoly with Google and Amazon for the cloud. Right? They have the second largest cloud behind Amazon. Microsoft has Windows. Microsoft has this productivity suite. Microsoft has how many customers within the government and large corporations using its software? Okay. Microsoft is investing in AI. Absolutely. But if it proves to be a bust, Microsoft's income isn't going away, which also I believe is on track to cross $100 billion in net operating income this year. Microsoft has a literal fortress of a balance sheet. I'm gonna have to. I believe they have 300 billion in net assets. Same with Google, right on par there. Okay. So these are companies people are gonna look at, and it's like they're making real value. And none of these companies I'm talking about are trading that high of PE ratios. Like Amazon, Apple's in the 30s. Okay, like mid 30s, like 36. Microsoft's in the mid 30s. I would say Apple may be a little overvalued, but Google and Facebook are in the mid 20s right now, right? Facebook has an app. Meta has an app that serves 5 billion monthly average users. 5 billion. Okay. They have WhatsApp, they have Instagram, which also have billions of users. They have Threads, which has hundreds of millions of users. If VR turns out to be something, they have the largest installed VR base and the biggest head start. And people think AI is expensive. You have no idea how expensive VR is going to be. And Meta has a huge, gigantic lead into that. If VR ends up being something, which I think it inevitably will, as I watch my son use his MetaQuest and his friends use it, and they are in these worlds like they're in an actual world. Okay, it's hard for older people to use it because their brains, like I get sick, but young people adapt quick. But when it does become something, I mean, you want to talk about capital intensive, you don't even know. Like right now, AI, I mean, it's expensive, but oh my gosh, if people went all in on VR, you wouldn't even believe it. Okay, but they're a leader in this. So if generative LLMs, I mean, Facebook isn't working. Facebook is trying to Meta's trying to commoditize, right? They're with China. They're commoditizing generative LLMs. They're releasing, open sourcing all of their models, okay, because they know it's not a threat to them. Okay, so they're like, yeah, we make tons of money other places. This will add, right? This will obviously add on top. It's going to add a ton of value, you know, but if it didn't work out, would they go to nothing? No, of course not. Same with Amazon, right? Amazon is gigantic. They have AWS, largest cloud provider in the entire world. Amazon retail services, obviously huge on the size of Walmart. Okay. So these companies are not in a bubble. I know I said I'd keep this short. I'm going on. This is my short answer. Maybe I'll just make this into my long answer. We don't have to discuss the financials. What companies are in the bubble? Tesla. Tesla's in a bubble. Absolutely, Tesla's in a bubble. It trades at like 280 times earnings. All the Tesla fanboys right now, Tesla promised. That's why it's a bubble. You see, because if it doesn't deliver on those promises or those promises never materialize, if it pops, you might say, what do you mean if? I do have a thought in my head that the companies that are actually in bubbles may never pop anymore. I'm starting to think, everyone's like the tulips and the Dutch tulips. Listen, we're not where we used to be. Things are different nowadays. People in the West have no meaning in their life, right? We went ahead and we ripped religion out. Okay. People hated Christianity, so they've been ripping it out of the West. And I'm not saying they did a bad thing. Okay. But the simple fact is that people, especially in the West, story-based narrative society, they needed that story. And now they have no story. So they're turning to CEOs. And that's why you see these CEOs like Elon and Alex Karp, right? They're selling stories. They're building cults. They're not actually building products. They're building cults. So Elon's like, we're going to be the best AI company. We're going to be the best robotics company. We're going to be the best self-driving company. And then once people realize none of that's going to happen, he's going to say, we're going to be the best quantum company. We're going to be the best quantum AI company. We're going to be the best, fusion company, right? He's just going to keep moving the goalposts. And these people that have no meaning in their life and who have attached their body, mind, and soul to Elon's words, they're going to follow him. And the difference is that these people own stock. So they're always going to have these people that will never sell, right? No matter what. And of course, that helps stock price. Okay. And Sam Altman has recognized this too, which is why he's telling people your kids are going to go to school on Mars. Oh, yes. Oh, I love you, Sam. I have no meaning, but you're giving me meaning. My kids are going to go to school on Mars because Sam Altman says so, right? Why is he saying stuff like that? Because he's like, hey, I can do what Elon does. And that's why Elon hates Sam Altman. Because he's like, stop taking my cult members. These are my cult members. Go get your own. And Sam's like, I am getting my own, right? That's where Alex Karp's now like, hey, this is pretty easy. Us, them, we kill, they die. Yeah, lethality, ontology. Yeah, us, them, black, white, dark, light, good, evil. How he talks now. It's like... so they're just building cults. These are the companies, Palantir, OpenAI, Tesla, right? You might say, is Nvidia? Nvidia is the toughest one. Here, let's go into numbers. This is my short answer, which is combining with the long answer. Okay. Is Nvidia a bubble? I mean, so Nvidia benefits from those companies I mentioned that are in the bubble because they're all buying Nvidia's chips. And when Huawei catches up, when AMD catches up, when Microsoft releases their chip, their Trainium, or titanium, and when Amazon releases their chip, Nvidia's margins are going to be under pressure. Okay, absolutely. But the simple fact is that it's not going to go to zero. And if you look at their financials, right, is it going to sustain this? Of course not. But they're not trading at some huge premium. They're just trading at like 50 times earnings. But just like, wait, this earnings is inflated. It's inflated by their margins. Yes, it absolutely is. But how much is it inflated? Because the simple fact is that no matter where we go, even if AI is a bust, there's no denying the fact that the world's compute needs are going to grow. So will Nvidia get the margins they're getting? No, but they're going to be selling more chips regardless. Okay. So their margins are absolutely going to start coming under pressure pretty soon. I believe that. Is it going to be this year? No. Is it going to be next year? No. But we know that Huawei is catching up to them. We know that AMD is making inroads. We already know Google's outperforming them, right? It's just simple that Google doesn't sell their chips to people, but people in the cloud are already, Meta is taking $10 billion that would have given to AMD is giving it to Google to use their chips. OpenAI is doing the same thing. The only thing holding back Google is the fact that it doesn't have enough of its Ironwood inferencing chips. Okay. So this is going to be pressured, but it doesn't mean there isn't enough room to grow. right? You may say, well, that's the bubble. That's the bubble that's going to pop. Yes. Okay, fine. Right? So Nvidia will be affected, but would it be affected like OpenAI? No, because they still are going to sell chips. So could we see this, get cut in half? Sure. Yeah. But are they going to go out of existence? No. Okay. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I mean, they sell a real product. Okay. They're going to have sales no matter what happens. They're still going to be producing product. People are still going to be buying their goods on a large scale level. I think that they're going to grow as units sold, no matter what. Okay. But their margins are going to come under pressure. Again, nothing said on this channel is financial advice. Okay. I'm not a fiduciary. I'm not a financial advisor, just so you know. Okay. So I think they get hurt by the bubble, but are they in the bubble? No, they're benefiting from it. Would they get hurt by it? Yes. But would they get crushed? No. Do I think Tesla would get crushed? Actually, no, I don't. I think they're absolutely in the bubble, but I think that Tesla is a cult. So I just think that, I mean, I might be wrong. People will wake up eventually. Remember the tulips? Listen, again, as I said, things are different now. Things are very different. So I think you have a core group of Tesla fanboys that, simply put, will never, ever sell. Okay, I know a guy who has a picture of Elon up on his bedroom wall. Okay, and he bought a Tesla for a girlfriend. Tesla made him rich. Okay, and he loves Elon. I mean, when I say loves, I mean he literally loves Elon. And he says that he would buy anybody a Tesla. Sometimes I think I should ask him to buy me a Tesla, but then I'm like, no, I wouldn't want that. Okay. So when those kind of people are holding your stocks, I mean, you can be in the bubble, but it doesn't matter. Okay. When you have 1,000 Farhads out there every single day pumping your stock, I mean, yeah, you're in a bubble, but is it like it used to be? I don't know. So that's where I get to my answer. I said earlier, are we in a bubble? Yes, we are, but also no, we're not. We have solid financial companies in the stock market that are doing solid things. Absolutely. We do have some companies that are in bubbles for sure, but I don't know that they're going to be affected like they used to. I seriously don't. And then of course, there's this whole thing about the US dollar being under pressure from our huge debt. So we have this idea of the great melt up coming, where that people are just pumping money into asset classes no matter what, right? So that is my take on the situation. Let me know what you think down below. I'd be interested in hearing it. And all of you out there, have a great day.